Yeah, hi, I'm Ivan. I am also Italian. I went to INSEAD. I don't know. We didn't have computers when I went to INSEAD, so it was a long time ago. So I was always a VC. I've invested over 20 years in technology and now in food tech. Moved from London after 20 years to Paris. I'm now in Paris. You cannot tell from the background because it's just a room. And then 4 years ago, we started to tell the story that we could raise a fund to invest with a venture capital mentality into a sector like food. And people looked at us as, you know, we had smoked something wrong and said, like, well, how are you going to find those companies? So we started to tell the story of food tech. I think we were some of the very first people to say food and tech together will work. We told everybody, believe us, it's going to happen. And now 4 years later, we raised an 80 million fund. We, made our first 8 investments. The portfolio is performing exceptionally well. And I think COVID came even to help in some extent. And I think, as Alex was saying before, it's not too difficult to create a good food company. People eat 3 times a day. No matter what, you can, stop buying holiday packages. You may not change your car this year, but it doesn't matter. You can still eat 3 times a day. And whether you eat in a restaurant or, unfortunately, restaurants are closed, you eat at home, doesn't matter, right? So we don't invest in restaurants. So all of this to say that exponential growth is not just a good company. So our story was you can sell food every day. You can get 10 million in revenues, and then what? If you put technology to it, whether in the product or in the delivery or in the supply chain, you can create hypergrowth. Hypergrowth is, let's say, 100% growth a year. And we have 8 companies that together have been growing 100% every year for the last 3 years. They didn't exist 3 years ago. This year we're talking about like real money, right? Hundreds of millions. So the thesis that food and food tech can generate great returns for investors and can be fantastic stories for entrepreneurs to create new great companies, I think is coming together. The IPO of Beyond Meat, I think, was like the moment of truth. Everybody saw, oh, wow, this is really happening. And I think the job that we have is to look at thousands of good companies and try to find the really special, exceptional companies. And I think in the presentation, Massimiliano put us twice, so thank you very much for the flowers, appreciate it. And I think one of our portfolio companies in Italy, a lot of the audience in attending tonight is Italian. So we were investors in Cortiglia, which is a fresh product online retailer, which is becoming an online food company. The moment you start to have your own products, your own quality assurance, your own brand, and a really solid brand, you're no longer a retailer. As soon as the part of the assortment becomes private label with high level of quality, that becomes a food company. And the difference is a retailer is worth a multiple, which is half or a third of the multiple of a food company. That's why we liked it. And I think the story of Cortiglia already before COVID was the creation of a national champion that could maybe become more, but we were happy with the national champion story, considering that Italy before COVID had a grocery online penetration of less than 1%, whatever the number is super small. Today, I think it's probably like 2 years ahead of growth, but it's still incredibly lower compared to the UK. Ocado, I lived in London for many years, and I saw Ocado IPOing and how they use technology to make sure that they could do what they do. Because let's face it, the 4 of us here, we can open up a corner store, get some fruit and veg, get some other stuff, and deliver it to 50 or 100 families. Can you do 10,000? Can you do 100,000 every single week? I think that is where things become really interesting because, then you need technology. And this is why we like food tech, and this is why we like companies like Alessandro's companies that merge great food with great values and use technology to scale up.